This whole segment with the gingerbread man behind them acting a fool was giving me Vince McMahon flashbacks. Like, it felt like Vince McMahon booked this segment for sure. It was a darkened day for the WWE yesterday, as it was that time of year, the post-WrestleMania roster cuts, where pro wrestling fans are irate that the WWE is a business and does have to cut people on their roster sometimes. And well, I agree with people that say it would be nice if the WWE would just release people as the year goes on, not all at once on one dark day. But welcome to corporate America, everybody. That's what corporate America is. And look, nobody wants to see anybody lose their job. I mean, I don't want to see most people lose their jobs, and unless they're bad at their jobs. There's definitely some writers and producers from the shows that I talk about on this channel that I think need to lose their jobs. Maybe some bookers as well. But I'm sad that everyone lost their jobs, don't get me wrong. But when you connect it to the real world, connect it to the last year and a half in America where there's all these job cuts going on. It's the worst job market since 2008. Literally, when you look at all the facts, it's hard for me to feel completely sorry for 20 people losing their job in the WWE when you see 2,000 people losing their job there and 20,000 people losing their job there. Sometimes we're wrestling fans, we're a very passionate bunch, and I get it, but that is corporate America, sadly. Now, what I can see complaints about is some of the people that did get cut and why. I see a lot of people upset that Zelina Vega and Aleister Black just got cut again after their return to the WWE, while Aleister Black's return to the WWE. Zelina's been there a while. I'm only surprised because it's always been clear that Aleister Black is a Triple H guy. And so I feel like the fact that Aleister Black is one of the people that got cut is why there's people out there saying that it's not just Triple H doing these cuts. He would never cut Aleister Black. I still think Triple H is more responsible than anybody else. I don't think TKO is really in the weeds making the decisions of who needs to get cut. I really don't think that. Maybe Nick Khan would get involved with it a little bit, but I think Triple H gets final say on the cuts here. I really do think that. So it is surprising to me that Aleister Black is one of the people. I've never connected with the character. I don't feel like they've ever put in the time to develop him. The current wrestling does not try to develop these complicated characters like back in the day, Undertaker and Kane. They really just don't try. It's why I'm not surprised that the Wyatt Sicks got cut too, because they don't know how to book those kinds of things anymore in the wrestling world, or at least in the WWE world. They don't take the time to build up the WWE world story-wise to have those kinds of characters. The one release that pissed me off was Kairi Sane, because they've been building that feud with Asuka and Io Sky with Kairi Sane and Crybaby Rhea in that feud for a while now. We never got a real payoff to Asuka and Io Sky, and now we're not going to get a real payoff because Kairi Sane's just gone. So to me, they just wasted our time with that feud, even though it's one of the more longer term storylines going on in the company. WWE is a mess with what they're doing. I don't feel like there's any rhyme or reason, top to bottom storylines going on right now. They're trying again with our stale, half-assed bloodline and bloodline adjacent storytelling, which is what we're going to get to talking about last night's Smackdown. I'm going to do my garbage scales and fire scales again for anyone that cares. I'm really just doing it for shits and giggles, but let's talk about it. We started the show with Jacob Fatu last night, and I do enjoy Fatu promos. I've said this in the past. I'll say it again. I like that he talked about how he told Roman he needs the title, and Roman told him he's not ready, but Jacob's been hearing that his whole life, that he's not ready, it's not the right time. And he says if he's not ready, then Roman needs to step into the ring and prove it. I think Jacob Fatu brings a lot of realism to his promos, and that's really all I could ask for out of a pro wrestler. The Usos came out, both had a different spiel. Jimmy was trying to get Jacob to help the family and take out Cody Rhodes instead, and don't listen to the people that want him to go against Roman. Jay, meanwhile, was saying that it's too late for Jacob to do that because he already stepped up and opened his mouth, and now he's going to have to face Roman and get ready for a war. I liked both spills. I like that they addressed the fact that why isn't Jacob just going after Cody Rhodes instead of going after Roman. I don't know if they addressed it fully. They could have addressed that a little more. Maybe it will be addressed again in the future. But to me, they're really trying to, I think, find something consistent with this company again, creative-wise. And so they're going back to that bloodline and bloodline adjacent well, which is fine for now, I guess, but I just think that we're past it. I think that the well to that is pretty dry. We've done a lot there. It's not going to be the same as it was with the original great story. Anyways, to bring out more adjacent stuff, out came Solo Sikoa and the MFT. Solo saying the Usos are lying. They didn't want Jacob to join the WWE. He brought Jacob into the WWE. So Solo said, don't listen to the Usos because Jacob is going to need an army to beat Roman. Tama Tonga grabbed the mic from Solo and said they're wasting their time on Jacob. Tama said, you think Jacob's going to beat Roman when he can't even beat you? And then Jacob Fatu super kicked Tama, and that kind of led to a match with the main event of Smackdown, Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa, which we'll get to. This opening was fine, though. I gave it a 2 on the fire scale because there's history there, and while I think the well to that history is pretty dry right now, it's something the WWE can still go to and maybe give us something consistent, at least for a while, until we have fatigue with that, like we have fatigue for someone else on SmackDown. The first match was for the Women's United States title. Tiffany Stratton versus Julia. And we get a new champion in this match. Tiffany Stratton is now the new United States champion. And I know Julia was certainly not lighting the world on fire. But Tiffany Stratton, for quite a while now, Tiffany Stratton goes out there and does the absolute bare minimum. And I'm supposed to be excited about that? The match was just them going through the motions. Tiffany Stratton had no energy. The match did nothing for me. The title change does even less for me. So I gave it a -2 on the garbage scale. Tiffany Stratton, when she first came up to the main roster, to me, she was already not exactly great. They put her out there, and we saw how mediocre she was. Her title reign was way too long, and by the end of it, it was... I think that Tiffany was shown to us to maybe not be ready on that level. And she's clearly still not ready to be on that level, or at least she's not trying to be. She goes through the motions. Absolute bare minimum. Don't love it. Paige was back next. We got a little promo from Paige. Paige has always been someone to me who I kind of like. She can be a little sloppy in matches, though. So we'll see how that all plays out. But obviously she's now one half of the women's tag team champions with Brie Bella. And then they were interrupted by Charlotte and Alexa Bliss to seemingly set up a match. But what it was really for was NXT's Jacy Jayne to debut with her group. Jacy Jayne attacked Paige. And then the rest of her group, Fatal Influence, came up and gave the beat down to Alexa Bliss and Brie Bella and Charlotte. The other members are Fallon Henley and Laney something or another. I have watched less NXT lately, but Fatal Influence has been around quite a while, especially Jacy Jayne. I feel like it was a fine debut, but kind of a mediocre debut for a mediocre act. I don't think that Fatal Influence is going to come to SmackDown and be an instant success. I think them as a group, they're pretty average with everything. Wrestling, promos, probably below average in characters for the other two members that aren't Jacy Jayne. So I'm glad that they finally get their call up. They get to prove themselves. The debut was fine enough. I gave it a 1 on the fire scale. But maybe they'll grow better than Tiffany Stratton. Let's see if that's the case. Out next was Cody Rhodes and his black eye, giving us his spiel about how he walked out of WrestleMania as champion like he was supposed to, despite being kicked in the head. He still walked up the ramp, and it was to send a message not just to Randy Orton, to people like Sami Zayn, who called Cody the golden boy, that nothing bad ever happens to him, and he called out Sami for being 0-3, wanting people to mind their business. I think this was supposed to be a fiery promo from Cody Rhodes, but as I've been saying my last few wrestling videos, the fatigue is real with Cody Rhodes. This promo did nothing for me but make me want to fast forward. I gave it a -2 on the garbage scale. I don't know where they can go with Cody. He's still over with the audience as a babyface for now. It can easily turn at any moment. It does turn on him sometimes. But for me, it's just like, I don't know what can make him more interesting as a babyface for me. The tag team title match was next. Damian Priest and R-Truth are still the champions. They defeated the MFT. I don't know what this tag title reign is supposed to be. The match was super subpar. I struggle with matches that I don't care nothing about. And that's how I feel about this tag team title reign and this match in general. So I gave it a -1 on the garbage scale. I know some people will find my ratings, maybe harsh at times. I can be harsh, but also my ratings don't really mean anything at the end of the day. I'm not going to pretend to be fucking old ass Dave Meltzer. Next up, a lot of the Danhausen stuff with the Miz at the Miz's house, messing with the Miz, somehow ending up in his pool when he left the house. Danhausen is an interesting one to me because his stuff is so stupid. But sometimes it's so stupid that it's still funny, or it is quite funny. But other times it's so stupid that it's like cringe. And that is, I feel like I might be the odd person out on Danhausen, where I already feel like his stupid stick is getting a little old for me. Like, it's already starting to wear me down. But there was enough funny moments in these videos with Miz trying to dive and tackle Danhausen, but really just diving into the pool. Miz throwing chocolate on Maurice and missing Danhausen riding away on Miz's daughter's bike. It was so stupid at times that it actually did end up being funny, and that's kind of Danhausen in a nutshell. What I do like about these video packages is that it was a feud that wasn't just inside the ring. It was built outside of the ring. So I gave these segments a 1 on the fire scale. The actual match itself later was not much of a match, so I didn't really rate it. Danhausen just getting a roll-up pin. So while Danhausen has his place for now, the stupidity is going to continue to wear me down, I fear. But apparently his merchandise sells like hotcakes. I can see how he is very popular with children. Like, if I was 12, I think I would find Danhausen to be the funniest thing on the show by far. Speaking of things that were meant to be funny, Trick Williams and Lil Yachty were out with a person in a Gingerbread Man costume, which was a nod to what they call Sami Zayn. This was to celebrate Trick Williams' championship win, for Lil Yachty to tell us he's not going anywhere. He's not like the other celebrities that are just going to disappear. And to tell us that Trick is no longer doing the U.S. title open challenge. People got to earn their way to face Trick which I think can be good for the character to continue to be a heel for sure. This whole segment with the Gingerbread Man behind them acting a fool was giving me Vince McMahon flashbacks. Like it felt like Vince McMahon booked this segment for sure. From the 2010s Vince McMahon era is where this segment came from, because it ends up being Sami Zayn in the Gingerbread Man costume, taking them out with a cane, and then getting booed out of the building. That's the one problem with this feud, is that people want to cheer Trick Williams. Obviously, that's how over he is, but he's supposed to be the heel here. They're booing Sami Zayn, and I think Sami Zayn is great as a heel. I would like to see Sami Zayn as a heel again. I'm fine with this feud still continuing after WrestleMania, even though Cody called Sami out earlier in the show too. But I gave it a 1 on the fire scale. It had some stupidity to it, but yeah. Glad we saw Royce Keys, who won the Andre Battle Royal. Solo tried to kind of get him into the Sikoa family, but he did not get a yes or a no. And then we had Rhea Ripley out next to celebrate her title win, only to be interrupted by Jacy, Jayne, and Fatal Influence, who just debuted with this show. Jacy Jayne got a lot of booing, so I mean that's a good sign that she can be one of those heels that gets a lot of heat. That's a good start for her, I think. It led to them bickering themselves into a match, Jacy Jayne versus Rhea Ripley. Rhea was about to win the match when the rest of Fatal Influence caused a DQ. Glad they didn't have Rhea already beat Jacy Jayne, which is what I actually thought was going to happen, and I was going to be like, what was the point of this debut tonight? So they did the right thing with the disqualification, and then Fatal Influence leaves Rhea Ripley laying. The match itself was fine. I gave the whole segment a 1 on the fire scale. Everything on SmackDown was like pretty mid. I mean, let's be honest. Nothing was really that exciting on this show. And also for Rhea Ripley, who whined and cried her way back into the championship, I do want to see how she's able to carry this weak women's division on SmackDown. That's something I will be keeping a close eye on. And lastly, our main event was Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu. With the MFTs down there getting involved, the Usos were watching from the ramp. It was an alright main event. Like I said, everything on this show, pretty mid. I gave it a 1 on the fire scale. But this did what it needed to do. Like, Jacob Fatu wins the match. He not only wins the match, but the MFTs try to attack him, and he takes out the MFTs basically without the Usos' help. So he goes over strong here. They want to put him over strong to lead to a match with Roman, which so far the build to that match is they're trying. They're trying, and I'll give them an effort for trying, but the SmackDown as a whole, I still put it on the fire scale rather than the garbage scale, but I gave it a 0 on the fire scale. Things gotta get better. While there was a few entertaining parts of this show, they struggle to make me invested in most things, and that's what I need from pro wrestling and pro wrestling feuds and storylines.